Well, it's time to make a start again. Learn to trust my heart again. Listen to a brand new beat. Gonna get back on my feet.
Today on Your Business Success, finding the dough to build a bigger business.
Learn some things from what went wrong. Get back up where we belong and let it be like it was meant to be.
Hello and welcome again. I'm Charles Slade. This week in beautiful coastal Kiama in New South Wales, where one couple's sea change small business is proving so successful, they'll soon be expanding back into the city shopping centres. By forming a bond with their bank and getting advice from experienced retailers, they're enjoying very pleasant growing pains.
One November, I ran across a girl on the beach and I thought, hang on a sec, this could be promising.
Lucky for Dan Henriksen, the girl on the beach turned out to be very promising.
I was actually talking to another girl on patrol about the lack of talent on the beach. And,
Not only was the attraction mutual, it's proved to be a winning combination. In just 3 years, Sharon and Dan have married, moved and made a mint from their first ever business venture. What's quickly become Kiama's most popular cafe deli on the south coast of New South Wales.
At the time, Sharon was running her own nutrition business in Sydney. She'd just come down from the Gold Coast where she'd had a deli at Main Beach. I was in the army, just looking at the stage of getting out of the army and transferring across to do personal training in nutrition in Sydney.
It was their shared interest in nutrition that prompted them to start their own gourmet food store. After much shopping around, they found the ideal spot in Kiama, 90 minutes drive south of Sydney, an area rich in quality local produce and, it seems, in culinary skills.
I've been to school with our head chef. Her family over 5 years ago won Australian awards for their restaurant. And when Dan asked me who are we going to get to be the cook, and I just said, well, it's got to be Natasha.
The biggest thing that we've got out of it is that we've learned and grown with the fact that the staff have come along with us. Almost all our staff started with us. The products have evolved through people saying this does work, this doesn't work, and we've just listened with them, and we've had the flexibility through Sharon's contacts in Sydney before that we're able to change things pretty swiftly.
After 12 months of operation, Manning Street Deli has exceeded all expectations. Sharon and Dan managed everything, from shop fit-out to financing and staffing. And it's all gone according to their very thorough business plan.
We've probably done 4 business plans at 40 pages each, so we've nutted through nearly every SWOT analysis you can think of.
The Commonwealth Bank Business Health Check shows that Manning Street Deli has delivered on superior food, service and staff. But now they're keen to take on more stores and are considering a shopping centre. They're already working with the bank on streamlining their accounts and have applied for an unsecured loan, but want to find out what else the bank can offer.
The next steps, because we don't understand those areas so well, like with going to the next level with the business banking, we need to get someone to come in and give us a hand.
We first kicked off with a bakery at Balmain in 1953, then opened a second bakery in Port Kembla in 1959.
And how much product do you produce each day? It's kind of awesome.
In the vicinity of about 30,000 loaves a day.
A day?
A day.
That's extraordinary. Your father would never have envisaged that, would he?
No, he actually had a slightly different view in business. He wanted a better bottom line and not so much work.
The Falcone family have been manufacturing bread for 7 generations.
I imagine your first breath was drawn probably in a bakery, was it?
Well, it actually was. I was born in a bakery in Messina, Italy.
Being one of the first Italian bread manufacturers in New South Wales meant Falcone bread was in huge demand, particularly in Wollongong, where Andrew's father, Paolo, eventually set up shop.
Well, it was an enormously growing market because BHP at the time had 22,000 employees and the demand for our types of bread was quite large.
But the automation of BHP and the reduction in employment levels forced the business to move from making European-style bread to the increasingly popular sliced bread.
And the concept was the smallest percentage of the greatest market is greater than the greatest percentage of the smallest market.
Andrew took over the business from his retiring father, invested in more progressive equipment and concentrated on expansion. There were some tough times. Even as boss, Andrew hit the streets and knocked on doors in an effort to drum up sales.
We were only small then, so it wasn't a situation of having a sales team as we have today. We had no salespeople for most of our growth time. The product did it all by itself, and the label.
It was in the early 90s that Falcone's bread found its new niche, with an advertising slogan that put a new bite on the bread market.
What do mothers say to their children when they send them down the street to buy a loaf of bread? And I said, a loaf of bread. He said, no, don't be silly. Exactly what did they say? And I said, well, go down and buy a cheap loaf of bread. Correct. He says, that's what we'll call it. And I said, oh, no, come on, cheap. He said, no, not cheap. C-H-E-E-P, cheap, cheap, our prices for the birds. And that is truly our success story.
It sort of took off from there, didn't it?
It did. There are a lot of battlers in Australia. They can only afford what is an appropriate amount of money for a loaf of bread or any other goods. You make a good product, you price it correctly, and sales will just go forward.
After the break, the bread baron meets the duo from the deli. That's next.